Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you watch this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you're here. And if you feel so inclined and get the chance, please hit that subscribe button below. It doesn't cost a penny and it really helps my videos get out there and get seen by more people. It'll also help you guys be notified when I release a video or when I go live. By hitting the little bell notification when you subscribe, it lets YouTube know that you're actually a human and you might be interested in the content, and I'd really appreciate it. But I won't waste any more time. Today, I am going to go over a TwoSun knife that has been in my collection for almost 2 years, and it is probably one of my favorite TwoSuns. Probably one of the best values, probably has one of the best actions. I'm not a big Tanto guy, but this knife really made me come to appreciate not only the Tanto blade, but the overall essence of TwoSun. This is the second TwoSun knife that I got into my collection. I think the 129 was the first one. This is actually called the TwoSun Stingray. And if you Google it or if you look at the tile on this video, you'll see, I think it's a TS136. I don't remember. I'm not good with numbers. But it is definitely the Sidewinder. It is a very slender handled, but yet handful, as in a thicker handled knife that has a really nice jimping here on the poon, because you can grab it either on this little choil, this right here, if you're doing more detail cuts, or you can grab it just regularly in the handle and use that finger choil to keep you from going up on that blade. So what you've got here is you've got a deep hollow grind that comes to a compound flat grind. So you do have a pointy tip, but you've got a little extra beef there. Not that I pry with my knives, but if you needed to pry with it, it would do better than, say, a pair 2. It is constructed out of titanium with a titanium backspacer, titanium frame, carbon fiber insets that I think are done very, very well. They do sit up a little proud of the liners, but that's by design. Very minimal construction with a pivot screw and a body screw. And I want to say they are both T8s. So it has T8 hardware all the way around. Has an M390 blade. Fits my hand very well. Whether I hold it back here on the handle or hold it up here on this kind of natural choil, which is where I think it's designed to be held and where it fits my hand very well. It is that guy's design. I don't know if that's Mosling Mokhtar. I just don't know who it is. But anyway, it's one of the outside designers. But if y'all check this knife out, it is a front flipper. And as you know, I'm not a fan of front flippers. Or if you don't know that I'm not a fan of front flippers, hopefully now you know. But this one works very well. The jimping is done. It's the same jimping that you use to hold the knife, but it's just done in such a way that it's hard to fail that knife. And when you look at it, it's not an apparent front flipper. Yes, it's got a little bit of a corner sticking up, but that's about it. I haven't tried this flip. Yeah, see, I don't like front flippers. I always feel like I'm going to cut my hand. But anyway, it's also got a nice deployment hole. One of my favorite shape deployment holes where it's not a full pill. It kind of comes down to a little tighter area so you can really get some traction on that flipper bar. Anywhere you hit it, anywhere you hit that blade hole, you are going to get positive traction. And as you guys know, I'm not a thumb flicker. This knife thumb flicks fine because it is an inset liner lock. So it is a liner lock, as you can see right here, but it's inset into that carbon fiber. So I'm not putting any pressure on that lock bar when I reverse finger flick it, or if I thumb flick it, even though I hate thumb flicking, or if I top flip it, even though I hate top flipping. The only thing this is missing is a flipper tab, and the reason it's not there is because you've got this jimping. So this back spacer is more than 3/4 of the way up the knife. I think it looks very nice. It fits the hand very well. It feels nice. It is, let me find Grateful Panic's calipers here. Make sure they're zeroed out. See what our behind our spine is 0.16. Up around our tip, we come down to right around 0.05. The thickness of this guy, because it is a thicker knife, is 0.62, 0.63, which I'm guessing is probably about the same as the height, or 0.81. So 0.6 thick, 0.81 here, but again, fits the hand very well. I don't know how well you guys can see in my lighting this satin grind and the way that this tip comes out. When I sharpen this knife, which I've not sharpened this one yet, but I will. Let's see how sharp it is. Let's grab a page out of Pew Pew's Digest. No, I actually got 2 pages. That was a cutter error. That was a cutter error. So yeah, guys, it's sharp. It's just me not knowing how to manipulate the paper. Very sharp knife. Could not hurt to strop it. And at some time, I will be putting an edge on this. As you'll notice, the plunge grind works out pretty well here, where it terminates about right there. So I do have several sharpenings, and the way I'll sharpen this, even though it's a very gradual tanto, I will not sharpen it like a drop point. I will sharpen this right here. And then I'll sharpen this little area right here. But I'll strop it first and see how much that brings it back. Because like I said, I've had this knife in the collection for well over a year. I've never sharpened it. Don't even think I've stropped it. And I have cut quite a bit with it. I've not taken it to process a lot of cardboard because it's really not set up for that, in my opinion. I've got a lot slicier knives that do that better. This knife is a great Tanto Tuesday carry knife. It's a gentleman's folder in my mind. I look at it as a gentleman's folder, even though it's got a little bit more wicked edge. It's not a deep hollow, guys. And it may be flat. It may be a 3/4 flat. Alright, I'm going to call that a flat grind. I think it is a flat grind. But anyway, to me, just a very nice Tanto. The pocket clip is small, but it goes in and out of the pocket very well. And it's thin enough to where I don't know how it would do in my 511 jeans, but in my khakis, it does fantastically well. This knife, again, is drop shutty. I'm horizontal under a camera. That gives you an idea of the action. So let's do a couple of quick size comparisons so you guys can see how the TwoSun Stingray ferrets out with some of our knives that we might or might not be familiar with. Let's look at it next to the one of the bigger knives in my collection, the Cold Steel 4 Max. And let's look at that next to one of the smaller folders in my collection, the Civivi Baby Banter. And of course it's going to be considerably smaller than the Cold Steel 4 Max, and it's going to be a bit bigger than the Baby Banter. So let's look at it next to a Benchmade Bug Out. going to be shorter than the Benchmade bug out. Or it's going to be bigger than the Benchmade bug out, and it's going to be shorter than the PM2. And when I look at those, I'm guessing it is going to be about a ½ inch longer than the PM2 is going to be a ½ inch longer than it, and it's going to be about a ¼ inch longer than our friend, the Benchmade bug out. But when you look at the thickness of this knife, it's much thicker than the Paramilitary 2, which will mean it's considerably thicker than the bug out. I bet you it's going to be less thin than the 4 Max, but as you can tell, those are closer to the same size. It's about as thick as the 4 Max, guys, in terms of this dimension. So what that translates to me is not into a negative. It makes this knife feel that much more quality. The materials are quality. The fit and finish are quality. The action is quality. The blade is quality. Guys, I got this knife at White Mountain Knives. I want to say it was listed for somewhere around $108. This was back 2 years ago before TwoSuns really took off. But after I used my Lefty Code 10, yeah, I've been using it that long. It's sad. That's probably why I've got a knife addiction, because of that shill. But in either case, I think I picked up this knife for $96, $97. Probably one of the best values in my collection. It's, to me, one of the more unique looking knives in my collection. One of my favorite Tontos. I love the way that the finger choil's done there. I love, love, love the way that the recessed or self-contained liner or frame lock, hidden frame lock feels. There's absolutely no stick. It's fluidly smooth. Again, it just drops like a, not guillotine. If I hold it vertical, see, I just sliced into myself. I don't know if it's going to bleed, but it will drop very fast vertically like that. But that is the TwoSun. I'm going to guess it's the 132. It's in the title and I'll put it in the description, but I know it's the TwoSun Stingray. So if you Google it, that's the easiest way to find it. White Mountain Knives does have this knife in stock from time to time. So does Amazon under Amazon Prime, where you don't have to wait for it to come out of country. Are there anything that I don't like about this knife? Really, not that I could think of. You know, the front flipper could go away and it wouldn't bother me a bit, but it really couldn't, because that jimping is kind of important there. You know, one thing I guess they could have done, and I would have never noticed this before, and it might not be possible on this knife, but if they extended that tab up about another ¼ inch, it would fill in that backspace. I'm looking at all knives different now after handling the Grant Gripper V2. But guys, that is the TwoSun Stingray. Fantastic knife. If I lost this knife, would I go buy it again? Absolutely, I would. If it was $170 instead of $100 or under, would I buy it again? I absolutely would. This knife is substantial. It is up to the task. It is kind of a beast in its own little way, but then yet it's still small enough to be carry to work gentleman's folder. Weighs a little bit more than my bug out, than my Para 2, but it weighs in the places that I like it to weigh. It feels like a solid knife. The materials are top notch. As far as TwoSuns go, and as far as all the knives in my collection go, guys, this is a good one. I could highly recommend it to any of my friends. I have no affiliation with TwoSun or any of the makers or companies or knives that I show here. This is just stuff that's in my collection, stuff that I've got an affection for. I will be showing some things off of my local best buddy, A to Z EDC. He and I grew up together from college on, and he kind of got into the knife game shortly thereafter I did, and our collection we have a lot of things that we collect that are the same, but we have a lot of things that we collect that are different. He's a much bigger guy, but he's got some knives from Michael Ziba, from, gosh, I could go on and on with different custom makers, different Evos, different Shirogorovs, knives that just really aren't in my wheelhouse yet, but that I'm going to be able to bring, and at least if I'm not overviewing them or reviewing them, I'll be able to give you overviews of some really cool knives that I've played with in his collection. I really look forward to showing off the Michael Ziba that Dark Gravity kind of turned him on to at the Nashville show last year. So I hope to be bringing some cool stuff to the channel outside of just my collection, which we have a long way to go there, but with some of my local friends, to where I'm not dependent on people sending me stuff that I don't really feel passionate about reviewing. It's not something that I'm that interested in. And most importantly, I'm not doing it just to get people to go, buy something that I wouldn't buy myself. So if I tell you that I think it's good, that doesn't mean you're going to love it. That's going to mean I love it. But that's going to mean I love it authentically, and I'm not telling you I love it for any other reason except I think it's a good knife and it suits me great. Guys, again, if you've got the time and you've been here this long, please subscribe if you hadn't already. Please click the bell notification, maybe thumbs up or thumbs down a video so YouTube knows you're a human and keeps you as a subscriber. Please look out for the guy or girl to your left. Please look out for the guy or girl to your right. Please look out for each other. When you're in chats, when you're in everyday life, smile at somebody, it might make their day. Keep loving your heart. Move forward with debate before hate. And until we meet again, guys, peace.